Hello, caviar connoisseurs, and welcome to the show. Excited that you are here with us today. We have a very special guest for you guys. Elliott Davenport will be joining us a little bit later. Give us some special insider information on the conference title matchups. Joel Embiid joined some of the greats by dropping 70 points last night. We'll get into that. There were some NBA trades that went down as well. And we're going to play a little game I like to call the potato game. But first, I'm sure my fellow pod mates would like to mention a few thoughts on last weekend's big matchup. Bern, Dejan, glad you guys are here this evening. How you feeling?
Bajan, feel pretty good right now.
Cloud 9 indeed, Burn.
As a Lions fan, this has been a long time coming in my lifetime, in our lifetime.
Our-
First time winning 2 home games in a playoff, making it to the NFC Championship. So this it's a good day. It's a good day. You wake up pretty excited as a Kitty fan right now. I'm feeling good.
Life is good. We got Final Four in football. We've got conference hoops on the NCAA side. We got NBA heating up. Great to be here. I got a special surprise call from Hav and Burn on the FaceTime during halftime of Sunday's game. That was a delight in itself. Excited to talk about the weekend that was and the week that will be.
I was nervous going into the game because obviously Detroit had home field advantage, and I've seen Tampa really struggle, not only against Detroit, but just in general throughout the season. So I was wondering, I had my fingers crossed that the Tampa team that was going to show up was going to be the team that we saw against Philly, not the team that we saw against Carolina the last week of the season. So I think that I was happy about that. And I'm going to, for any of you guys that are listening here, that I'm going to post a picture on our social media pages. I watched the game with Burn, and this was like, I want to say the first quarter. I think the game was tied.
So the first 3 minutes, you really blew your load a little early there. You got too excited about a game that was very close to getting out of hand. We slow played it a little bit. And you jumped at your chance.
Yeah, I was very excited that I don't think it was the first 3 minutes. I think it was
No,
some sort
it
of
was
other time where it was like a vital moment in the game where it was proof that we were going to be hanging in there at least through two halves. So I went over to Burn and I was giving him a nice big hug, and he was not excited about that part of
well,
the
you
dynamic.
got into my personal space and I didn't ask for it.
But a couple things that I did not understand was Tampa going for the 2-point conversion
Wow.
there towards the end. That made absolutely no sense to me, especially because me and Bajan had a bet for the Bucks to be +7. So
Like I thought the call was genius, Hav. That
Loved it.
perspective.
Absolutely loved it.
Thank you,
yeah, I
Venmo.
mean, it could have just been a push, at least with the extra point, or if we converted the 2, then that would have actually put me into the green there.
Oh, wow.
But, Mayfield, he had a very good game. With that the problem that Tampa had was we couldn't pressure Goff. I thought
That's
that we
right.
were gonna be getting pressure on the guy.
We talked about it. You had shown your cards with the blitz. We knew the packages you were going to bring. Give the Lions running backs a ton of credit. Jameer Gibbs, certainly not
It does some
drafted for
huge blocks.
not drafted for his pass protection prowess. He looked terrific. Monty, outside of one penalty, which was questionable on that cut block, did a nice job as well. So they were ready for the blitz packages. We held you to 2 sacks, which was huge.
But yeah, that was my key to the game. I thought that, if we were gonna be able to put pressure on Goff, my confidence level would have been way higher. The fact that we only lost by 1 score with the way that our defense was playing actually is pretty surprising to me. Because to be honest, it did seem like Detroit had that game in control, except for when we came back and we tied it up there in the second
Mm.
half. I don't know if you guys were a little bit nervous at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, give your
No, I mean,
credit. I mean, credit
yeah.
to the Bucks. The Bucks outgained the Lions 408 yards to 391. You make Baker in that offense. Once you figured out the Lions can't cover a tight end and started throwing it to K Dot, that was
Yeah.
disastrous for us. We got guy named Kittle coming up. That's going to be super unfun. So average 6.8 yards per play. You held the Lions to 5.5. I wouldn't say held, but both teams average over 5 yards per play. But when you look at the
Yeah.
metrics, give Tampa Bay dead to rights 8 weeks ago. Really showed up, gave a great effort.
There he
And
is.
All
Hey,
right.
welcome to the show. We have a special guest joining us here this evening, Mr. Elliott. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Doing great. I gotta be honest, Hug, a little disappointed that you're wearing sleeves. I thought we were gonna go tanks here, really just show off the gun show, but I assume maybe save that for more important guests to put on.
I think one of the bets was that I have to go shirtless, right? For the second segment. Is that what it?
Yes.
It's
Seems
look,
fair.
our listeners have spoken.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
poll out there that would confirm that. They don't want this.
the poll would be like, please leave your shirt on, sir. Yeah, so Elliot, if you guys didn't know, is a fellow Bucks fan. So we were just
Perfect.
recapping
Mm.
the divisional game there. What did you think about that one, Elliot? Were you proud of the Bucks in that one?
Proud's an interesting word. I
Moral
mean,
victory.
it's a moral victory. When we started the season, I thought we were gonna have the number one pick in the draft. I thought we had Baker Mayfield. I thought this was gonna be a 2-win team. Hey, win the division, go to the playoffs for the fourth straight year, something to hang your hat on. I do fear a little bit long term. You're stuck with Baker with their warts for what that's
Mm.
going to be. But yeah, they made it work with $80 million in dead cap, which is incredible.
That's impressive for sure.
Yeah. So the ghost of Tom Brady not playing, eating up all of your salary cap. So no, it was cool. It made the season a lot more fun and enjoy the playoffs through it. But yeah, I never really had high expectations with that group, but they fought like heck and Detroit was just better and thought they were just more consistent throughout the game, throughout the season. And I think it played out as you got into the fourth quarter.
See, Hobby, there are
Great.
Bucks fans that actually understand that in a minute.
And should I throw a fit? Should we be,
No,
should we be upset? Are we going to be mad?
Hobby still has yet to actually admit that the Lions deserve to be where they are and have shown game by game that they belong on the big level here, the big boys. And this weekend's going to be, oh, I can't wait.
I think that obviously we're gonna get into the pick'ems a little bit later on in the show, but 80% of the bets were going money line on Detroit. I don't think that was that big of a surprise that you guys won that game, right? Obviously, I was hopeful that we could pull off the upset, but the bigger game is obviously this weekend.
I think the new America's team is the Kitties. And we got a lot of people on our side. There's a team of destiny.
Yeah.
I'm good for another bet.
I don't you don't even know who I'm going for yet. I might be going for Detroit, bro. I
You're
mean,
wearing red. I think it's
Yeah.
obvious. Obvious.
this
Yeah.
is more of a fuchsia. This is a fuchsia.
The fuchsia's not coming through. I'm getting a lot of red hues. Yeah, not to
Um,
be distracted, but it's a night of guest stars. Legendary Heath Hamilton in the building in the studio tonight. So,
wow. How many people can we fit on the show? Is
let's
that
get it.
the
Just let me
camera?
have a little peek in here. Just have him peek in here on the camera. This is the legend right here in the flat. There he is.
Oh, there he is. All right, fellas. So I am going to give you the effective cap space for each team that was eliminated. And then I just want your thoughts on what you think is going to happen for these franchises that were eliminated in the playoffs this season. The Houston Texans had a good season. They're actually in the positive side of this whole equation. They have $59 million to work with.
Woo!
Obviously, with a rookie quarterback, that helps you out. What do you think? Drastic changes come in there or no?
All that oil money down there in Houston. It's a great story. Go Texans are on the come for sure. Certainly some great pieces in place. Young defense that's playing pretty well. I think you got to go out and get CJ Stroud some more weapons. I like Schultz for them. I like the offensive line, what they've done. Under contract right now, coming back, really, you got Tank Dell and you got Big Nico Collins. Behind that, there's some big question marks. So a lot of talent in this draft from a wide receiver perspective. And also on the free agent market, going to throw out a name. This may break your heart, Hav and Elliott, but someone from College Station's a free agent. They're the only man to have, I think, 11 or 12 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. Big Mike, paired
Oh,
with
I thought
CJ
Johnny
Stroud.
Manziel. Or
Yeah, he's also available. Also available.
Michael Pittman as well. So I'd love to see Big Mike or Michael Pittman. One of the
Jimbo
Michaels
Fisher.
get a big money wide receiver.
So Elliot, we'll move on to the mighty Buccaneers. Evans is a free agent. The Bucks have 25 million in cap space. What are your thoughts on the Bucks?
Yeah, so two different directions. What I would do And then what I think that they will do. I don't love Baker Mayfield. I thought he had a nice run this year. That's great. You cannot commit to Baker Mayfield to be your franchise quarterback if you want to win a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, that's the goal. Everybody can pat ourselves on the back, made the playoffs, won the worst division in football, won a playoff game against a team that quit or whatever the Eagles did. I don't know what that was, but they crumbled. They just lost that game single-handedly. And so I think you move on from there. And, I think you draft a quarterback and go try to find a quarterback because I don't think Baker's coming back for 1 year. I think he's going to want to demand more money. He's going to get multi-years from somewhere. I just think it's a losing proposition to invest there, invest your money. You mentioned CJ Stroud being on a cheap contract. Kind of was the value of Baker Mayfield. Like, sure, at $4 million, he's a great quarterback. But at $24 million, I'm not sure he makes a ton of sense, along with having to add Mike Evans. So I don't know if there's a cheaper option out there. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is cheaper or somebody. I throw him in the bucket with everybody else. What will they do? Will we sign Baker Mayfield oh man, I would love Jameis Winston back. At least he was entertaining. My man, 350, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. This is action. Welcome to Buccaneers football.
He plays all 60 minutes. You're going to score that tutty with 14 seconds left, baby.
Yeah. The Mike Evans make him look good touchdown. Boy, if you're down 21, Mike Evans is catching a touchdown pass. You can better believe it, no matter how many passes he's dropped earlier in the game. But no, what they'll do, and I think the message that they're going to take away from this, continuity is the way to go. And I think they're going to bring back a lot of their players. I think they're going to re-sign Baker to a long-term deal. I think they're going to bring back Mike Evans. I think Devin White is gone. I think that the relationship has crumbled and is irreparable for what they're doing. I think you got to say bye to Shaq Barrett. Great story, great player. Not this year. And pass rushers don't really get it back. That's gone for him. So I think you're investing in edge players and trying to find some guys who change the game on defense. And you probably are going to run out pretty similar offense again next year. You're going to have Kate Ott at tight end, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are the best 2 receivers the Bucs have ever had. And keep Rashad White's going to get the ball 1,000 times. And that's your Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024.
Yeah, I think that they'll get a little bit creative with the cap space that they have available. At least they have some. But one thing, obviously, we'll do a NFL draft preview as we get closer to that time of the year. But for S's and G's, I did just take a look at a mock draft to see who they might take in the first round. And they have our very own Keon Coleman, the very first one that I clicked on. So I was like, oh, baby, you're trying to get me aroused here.
Order that jersey have or pre-order it.
Yeah, but know that Coleman shows up with Evans leaving.
Yeah, I think I'd be fine with that.
The assumption, but Jared Verse would probably be a better Noel if you're trying to add a piece. That's the gap as somebody who affects the passer. They don't have
He's not going to be available though.
Yeah, you never know how these things go. You have massive production, and hey, if you think that you got Baker Mayfield and you got a window, absolutely, Baron, trade up. Licht. I don't think I've ever said his name correctly in my life.
Jason,
or is it Jason Licht? It's just spelled wrong.
I don't know.
Jason Licht is just spelled.
Anybody know the proper pronunciation?
Yes.
One of those for sure. I think, he's always moved around the draft. He forever moved around the draft to get his guy. I think you need a defensive end to impact that defense in a different way. If you add that to the team, I think you're back in the playoffs next year with a bad NFC South again.
Cool.
Yeah,
Abysmal.
it was Bijan and Burns' favorite division. So
it would have hurt. It would have hurt to lose to that division. I can tell you that.
If Atlanta could figure out a quarterback, they wouldn't be terrible.
They got a lot of good pieces. I agree, Elliott. That's
got
a good
Bill
point.
Belichick coming in. So
add Belichick or Harbaugh. Off we go.
So Burn, Philly, they fired almost everybody but Sirianni. They have 16 million in cap space. What say you on your 7th favorite NFL team?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there. It's the first step is get coaches, get a staff. They fired offensive coordinator, got rid of the D coordinator. Thank God they got rid of Matt Patricia as the play caller as well. So they got to figure that out. First step. But as far as what they're going to do, they could get rid of Jalen Hurts, but I think that's one of those things. Is it greener on the other side? Probably not. It's easier to find a worse quarterback than find a great one. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to stick around for a little bit. But running backs, I think Kent Gainwell is the only one that's, I think, currently will be under, like, on the roster.
Yes.
Okay.
Swift, Scott, are all free agents, so that'll be interesting to see what they do there. I think you need a true 3 down back. Look, I love DeAndre Swift because he was a kitty for us too. When healthy, he's really good, but I think he's more of a change of pace. I think they need a true 3rd down or a true 3 down back. And then you think about our one of the greatest hitters of all time, Hall of Famer, Jason Kelsey. You got to replace that with him retiring. So getting some offensive line help is going to be important. Defensive ends too, are on the defensive line. Fletcher Cox, free agent. Brandon Graham, free agent.
Sweat.
They picked up Shaquille Leonard this year in trade and are on the waiver, but he's a free agent. So can you re-sign him? But with 16 million, not a lot. So I imagine
No.
a lot of restructuring of some of those veterans and then figuring out what they can do with it. They've got some holes, some glaring holes. They're
Yeah.
going to have to figure things out to,
Did you
to
say
keep up.
glaring or glory?
Well, smack
I said
my
glaring.
mama.
I think we can run it back. Look, tumultuous boy over there.
You'll be able to put a fun sound effect in for
Like,
that.
yeah, I think they definitely have some things they have some holes to fill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was an epic collapse. I'm actually
Yeah.
happy for where they landed in the offseason. The LA Rams, I think they had a terrible start to the season, and they came on real hot there. They ran into a buzzsaw there in Detroit. They have 25 million in cap space. Stafford signed for 2 more seasons, I believe. What do you think about the Rams situation?
Hard to say this, but I believe the Rams overachieved this year. When you look at probably what the expectations were, they finished strong. I know they're coming off a recent Super Bowl win, but they put together a really great back half of the season. They draft really well. So Puka Steele in that 3rd round, absolute stud to pair with Cooper.
Fifth.
Yeah, 5th round. That's right. Higbee coming back off that knee injury. That's going to be interesting to see because he's a good piece for that offense. I like to see them get some help with the defensive secondary. So at the corner position, if you looked at that Lions game, really could not impact the wide receivers they were facing. So they need some depth and they need some playmakers there. So someone like a Snead or a Kendall Fuller in free agency would make a lot of sense for them. I think you can't have enough offensive linemen when you got Matt Stafford as your quarterback. Yes, he is an absolute bruiser that tends to just take more hits. It's like a Rocky 1, 2, 3, or 4 every time you watch him. He's getting knocked down. He's getting back up. There's blood. Why don't we just keep a clean pocket? The guy doesn't have
He's
to be
so
Apollo
he's
Creed.
so elusive.
Yeah, so you got to protect him. I like to see some guys in the trenches and some quarterbacks for the Rams. They're on the coming. The McVay, good coach. Tough division. San Francisco's not going anywhere. Seattle continues to be in the conversation, so they've got to continue to load up. I'm
I mean, we'll
excited to see
see
what they
about
will do.
San Francisco. San Francisco might lose this weekend. Okay, Elliot, what about the Brownies? Okay, here's a situation with their effective cap space. And just for the listeners out there, what I mean by effective, that's taking out the dead monies. That's what we're talking about. What's the true amount of money that they have available? The Browns are actually negative 20 million right now.
That's
Not
about right.
not necessarily where you want to be. What do you think, Elliot?
I don't think they can afford to make a ton of drastic changes. But in all honesty, they're in with Deshaun Watson and the massage therapist there to really lock in long term. They don't have a choice. The 1st round picks, the money they've given them, guaranteed. Like they're in. You got to hope he turns it around. You really don't have a ton of flexibility. You've got a good defense that's consistent. It's going to keep you in a ton of games. I think they were banking on Deshaun Watson winning them some games. And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco's better than him. And they win more games with Joe Flacco than they did with Deshaun. And I think that raises some red flags about what he is as a winner, what he is as a teammate. But you're tied to him. So it is what it is. I think they got to get some explosiveness on offense. Obviously, Nick Chubb going out changes who they are. I hate that for them, but I don't think you're coming back. I don't think Nick Chubb's ever going to be Nick Chubb again. Running backs just tend not to, and they're going to have to turn the page. But they need some explosiveness on offense. Oh, is Amari Cooper up there? He's however old. He was in Alabama, maybe when I was at Florida State. So it's been a bit, but they can get some explosive players in the draft. And I think running back. And unfortunately, and you hate that for Nick Chubb because he was one of the best players in football, but I think they have to look both at receiver and at running back. I like Njoku at tight end, but they need some explosion and some guys to change the scoreboard on the offensive side.
Yeah, they obviously have Joe Burrow is going to come back with a full force next year. So
That division not easy
yeah.
with Baltimore and Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh's always really good. It's a tough division, but they
I wouldn't
competed.
say
They really did
Pittsburgh's
compete
really good.
well. It's not really good.
They're always there, Hav. Doesn't
They're
matter who's
always
on
there.
that team. Made the
No.
playoffs again, another year over 500. They're consistently in the conversation.
Mm, okay, so let's go to the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Byrne. They are at negative 22 million as well. They haven't really done a good job navigating through that. Dak is a $59 million cap hit this
Mm.
season. What say you?
Yeah, Jerry's gonna find a way. The guy's worth billions. No, at the end of the day, they're gonna have to do some restructuring. They've got a free eight to create some cap space. I imagine that look, Dak is still a top 10 quarterbacks in this league. Yeah, he came win in January, and that's fine. As a Lions fan, I'm okay with that. But
Mm.
I just don't see them starting over at quarterback. I think that what he's done in the regular season at 12 wins last few years, they'll restructure. They'll add some, avoidable years at the end to get that cap, help that cap out. Tony Pollard, free agent. Rico Dowdle, the backup running backs, free agent. Tyron Smith, starting left tackle, free agent. Jordan Lewis, one of their nickelbacks, free agent. Stephon Gilmore, big pickup, free agent. So they have some holes. That's for sure. Secondary is still pretty
Use your
good
favorite
with
word.
yeah, I'm pretty good at that right now. You have your words, let me use mine. Man, this guy's tough today. Bijan, I'm not really Elliott, just welcome. This is what we deal with every day. Every week.
We teach you performing at a high level.
know.
You're not going
You
to
know,
let
I
you be
have
average.
I have to
There's
use
no
expletives.
mediocrity on this
No,
show.
not here.
I tell you.
No.
Look at it. They have to figure some things out, but they're going to have to draft well. With Jerry as the GM, it's not always good on that end. We'll see. But they've got to figure some things out on the offensive line. Obviously, their weapons. Do they re-sign Tony Pollard? That's tough. Did he perform like we expected? I think that he was if you talk fantasy wise, that's a first round draft pick last year, right? We thought big things for this guy. So I don't think he performed up to where we expect the expectations. So is he going to be that long term piece? So we'll see on that. And then secondary, yeah, you got Diggs and you got Bland, but they get some pieces around. Some depth pieces would be nice, but you got Micah Parsons, so pretty solid on the defensive side when it comes to that. But definitely, they're more probably into the depth, but with the money that they have or don't have right now, a lot of restructures and a lot
Yeah.
of probably some releases that we might be surprised at come March.
What about the fact that they re-signed McCarthy? Don't you think that was terrible?
I thought this was probably a perfect opportunity for Jerry to say, "Hey, look, let's move on from that." And then
Yeah.
Bill Belichick would have been. I just thought that was a marriage like that would have
Yeah.
worked out well. I think Quinn still is potentially going to leave as the D coordinator. He might Seattle. They're going to have some
Vrabel's
shuffling to do.
involved. Seattle, I think, is a big thing for they're talking about Vrabel going to Seattle, but
Be a nice pickup. But yeah,
Dan Quinn was
I
Dan Quinn
would
was
pay
trash in
money.
Atlanta, but
I would pay money to watch Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones try to figure out who drafts who and when and make any decision ever.
be a fight to the fact.
A disaster written all over it of
that'd be bad.
Dallas Cowboys proportions, right?
I think
Like,
Jerry would
man,
come in there
that-
with a cutoff hoodie and just
Oh, yeah.
fall in suit with Bill. I think it could be good.
I think it would
Uh,
take one half of them
Or
being
not.
down by 6 points and be like, what's going on here?
Pittsburgh also haven't really managed the cap that well for some reason. I don't know who they're paying, but they're negative 19 million right now.
Struggle in the Rust Belt economically and for these football teams. Negative 19 for Pittsburgh. Tomlin and that organization draft very well. They can get it through the draft. They need some secondary help. So you looking at their Zay Flowers, other pieces in the division they're trying to contain. They need some help at safety, they need some help at corner, and they also need some help along the offensive line. Offensive pieces, as far as skill players, look good. I like the combination of Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Calvin Austin flash for them this year, Freiermuth as well. They've got some good skill players. Just need a little, probably some depth on the offensive line, and I think the biggest need is corner and secondary for the Steelers. And if you're a defensive player, you probably want to go play for Mike Tomlin. So through free agency and through the draft, I think they'll, as they normally do, find what they need in that area.
They
Those
need a
areas.
freaking quarterback, man. Good lord.
Yeah, I think they're stuck with it's Ron Rudolph or it's Kenny Pickett. And I think you're
Oh.
right. That's going to be the difference. I don't know if they're ready to make a move at that position. I don't see that coming. I think they're dedicated to one or either. but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Steelers hope I'm wrong. Steelers fans hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what they do.
Green Bay, they are minus 7 million cap space.
A little bit of disdain for the Green Bay Packers. For one, sole reason, good night. Can they ever just get back quarterback play? Like these fans have just got to be spoiled rotten. I had to be a Bucks fan for 30 years of just awful quarterback play, just terrible, not throwing anybody. And this is their third straight franchise quarterback that they hit on. Made a couple of big mistakes at the end of that game, but you can see it. You see what's coming with Jordan Love. They have a group of really young receivers who are talented, and you got to like it. Two really great backs. I think AJ Dillon might be a free agent, but you can see what's happening there on the offensive side of the ball. Always want to protect young quarterbacks, and that's good. They had two rookie tight ends there too, Kraft and his name. But what they did on offense is they've hit a lot. So I think the majority of your investment is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, and continue to invest in just growing and keeping consistent around Jordan Love and letting him continue to grow and blossom. So if you're going to invest, you're going to draft high. It's defensive players to change the game, and some offensive linemen, make sure he's standing upright so he can get it to those playmakers. But if it just drives me nuts. How? 30, 40 years of just elite quarterback play, and everybody else just has to deal with it. At least the Patriots have to eat it a little bit and realize, oh man, we're down 3 with the game on the line. Maybe it's not a guaranteed win like it was for 20 years, but these guys just get to enjoy phenomenal quarterback play. But no, other than my bitterness and pain from being a Bucks fan, boy, they are set up well, and you're feeling pretty good for the future if you're a Packers fan.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Burn, the last team here is the Buffalo Bills. They have some cap space issues
Significant
right now. They're
deficit.
negative 52 million. I don't know who they're gonna get rid of or what they're
Really
doing.
giving me
What do
all
you
the
think?
easy ones, Hoff. Let me go ahead and solve this real quick. How do we gain $52 million in cap space and be able to
Josh Allen?
re-sign play? There's a lot of restructuring. As I've said, that's another word I use a lot, apparently. Yeah, restructuring. But yeah, I mean, Allen, Dave, Von Miller, some of those guys that have some high cap hits, you're going to have to restructure and push out because you got guys like safety Jordan Boyer, you got edge rusher Shaq Lawson, D tackle, you got a couple D tackles that are open. David Quessenberry as a guard, punter, Sam Martin, they're all free agents. So we got some holes to fill. I think you get younger. I think there's some depth that you got to have to draft correctly this year. But there's some tough cuts. You're going to have to. It's just unfortunate. But there's some things. But I can tell you the one thing they do need, and I think it's been evident throughout the playoffs or throughout the season, really, you need a number 2 receiver. Like a true number 2 game changer. I thought Gabe Davis could be that guy. He has shown that that's just not him. You need somebody else to pair up with Diggs. Dig can be, Diggs missed that catch. So, oh my God. That was very Mike Evans-esque. Sorry, Bucks. But no.
Calling our receiver here, kicking him while he's down.
Against the Eagles, that was wide open.
Yeah. And a couple against you guys.
They won that game. Don't worry about it.
You guys won it because it was you playing the Eagles, which was nice. But I think a number 2 receiver is important. Obviously, you got to find some depth. You're set at quarterback. You're set in the running back positions. But I'll also say, I think you need to reevaluate the kicker. I hate to knock him in when he's down, but his efficiency throughout the season was very evident, and it followed through to the playoffs. And that's tough to miss. You feel bad for the guy. It's a team sport, but 44-yard, you expect your kicker to make. And so it's time to reevaluate some things, but there's, again, $50 million in the hole. You've got some cutting to do and some restructuring to do. So
50 million in the what?
50 million deficit.
We're gonna shift gears here a little bit here because there was a pretty monumental performance last night on the hardwood. So Joel Embiid, he goes for 70 points, 70-point performance against San Antonio Spurs. Take that for whatever you want it. Now, I want you guys I'll give you each an opportunity to speak here, but I want you to tell me if you think it means anything for his legacy in general. Start with you, Bajan.
He's a tremendous player. He scores the basketball very well. He's him and Jokic right now are such a joy to watch night and night. So if you want to see 2 complete basketball players that compete on both ends of the court, from rebounding to getting their teammates involved. And when they have to score, they want to score for that matter. They go and do it. These are two treats to watch. To soak that in when they're at both of them at their prime right now would be a great finals if those two could meet. It would be phenomenal. But Joel Embiid is tremendously gifted scorer. Spurs are one of the worst defensive teams in the world. They could not figure it out. They're running the high pick and roll. I think Joel Embiid at one point hit 6 free throw line jumpers in a row. Let me tell you the play that's coming. I don't know why Wemby was never on it. They just kept switching. And then Skeleton Wemby would come down once and throw a dunk in and cheer.
It's Popovich. He should have known.
They don't have the personnel defensively. I do Wemby long term, but Joel Embiid, give him credit. 70 is really fun. He gets it on a driving layup. He scored from everywhere last night. I would love to see the heat map or the chart because it would be so well diversified across the courts. Treat to watch in Joel Embiid.
Bernasti, what are your thoughts on that performance?
No, it's phenomenal. It's very rarely done, right? So that's a big feat, even against a really bad defense like the Spurs. But it adds to his legacy. But I don't. He's already done so much in his career that his legacy is pretty much set. MVP, 6-time All-Star, obviously probably about to be a 7th All-Star, and plus maybe another MVP. A championship would probably put the icing on the cake, but he's got a Hall of Fame career going. He's a phenomenal player, like Bajan said. And again, Denver, Philly in the finals, that's a spicy matchup that I'd like to see. So
Give please.
yeah, no,
Oh,
I think what he did,
Yeah.
I think what he did last night is just, it's unbelievable. And it's obviously really done. But yeah, again, it just shows what kind of player he is. And he's top 5 overall. He's elite. And that cemented it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a legacy, Elliott?
I'll say one thing. Does anybody know how good the Toronto Raptors defense was when Kobe scored 84 on them? You remember that at all? Nobody's going to care in 2 weeks.
Doesn't matter, right?
That defense, it's just a number. It's an incredible number, obviously. I think it does absolutely nothing for his legacy. His legacy is in playoffs. That's the only thing he's got left to prove. He's an elite regular season player. He's a Hall of Fame regular season player. Hall of Fame ballots are figured out in the playoffs, and he hasn't done it in the playoffs. He has not won an elite level in the playoffs. Hasn't carried his team to a championship. When he does, he graduates to the next tier. Right now, he's just Charles Barkley, just an incredible regular season player. Just that's who he is in my mind right now. He needs to take it to the next level, win in the playoffs if you want to be in the upper echelon of the pantheon of great big men to ever play the game.
Yeah, I agree with you
respect
guys
that.
on all that. I do think that it does something to his legacy though, because that ties him 12th of all time. So if you got okay, so for example, my son,
And argue with top 12.
yeah, he likes to look at a lot of the old school players. So he's like constantly looking up like Vince Carter dunk highlights. And they're like, there's gonna be kids and just the younger generation that are gonna Google like who scored the most points in NBA history in a game? And then boom, there he is. Embiid 70 points. So
Scroll
I
to
do
12th, and there he is.
yeah, I think it matters though.
Well,
Like
the second page.
there's
next and bang.
there's definitely something for cracking that 70 level, right? So there was last season, now there is something to be said about the style of play now, right? So we do need to
Yes.
acknowledge that. Last season, Lillard and Mitchell, if you guys remember, they both went for 71. Okay. In the modern era, obviously Kobe, he had the 81. But I think Kobe did that in 3 quarters, didn't he?
I don't doubt it.
He didn't play much in the fourth.
Yeah, it was just 3
yeah.
quarters. So that was to me, I was like, oh man, Kobe could have gone for 100 that night.
I
But
can't believe Kobe, knowing Kobe, didn't try to get 100. I feel like he would be the one who's, oh, we're getting 100 tonight. This is
I'm
happening.
staying in, coach.
Yeah,
They-
I'm not going anywhere.
it must have not been a close game. And then and the way the NBA is now, even if you're up by 20, you still have to play your stars because we've seen it. But you could lose that lead in 8 minutes. Now, another quick note here. Carl
Hobby,
Anthony Towns
one quick
actually,
point, just
Oh,
a
no,
little
go
bit
ahead, Elliot.
different about those
Yeah.
71s.
Yeah.
Last night, 1 3-pointer. One. I guarantee Lillard had a whole bunch more threes, and it's a different game because of the amount of threes that are shot now. 1 3.
Yeah.
And
So
that makes that pretty incredible how to get to 70 with 1
it
3.
was almost up for sure. Inside, dominating. It was something else.
Wilt Chamberlain-esque.
Will Chamberlain
That is
esque,
what
yeah.
that is. Karl Anthony Towns, he gets overshadowed by Embiid's 70 because he only scored 62.
Win the
And
game.
it
Win
now
the game if
now
you're going to score 62. Quit clowning
now
around and win
yeah,
the
so
game.
you score 62,
Uh,
you lose. Now he did only shoot 2 of 10 in the 4th quarter, and he got lambasted by his coach in the
You
press
should be.
conference.
You lost to the Hornets.
Yeah, that coach he was not in a good mood.
You should
Like
have been.
unleashed.
If you
Coaches should do that.
Alright, I'm gonna give each of you guys a guess here, okay? So, Elliot, what do you think Michael Jordan's highest scoring game ever was for him?
63.
It's somewhat close. He was 69. I'll give Byrne LeBron James. What do you think LeBron James highest?
You suck. I would have probably got really close to the Jordan one. I'm gonna go LeBron 59.
That is very close. He was 61.
Very nice,
And
man.
Sean, I'll give you Giannis.
Giannis, 57?
64.
64.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this year.
So,
This
I
year.
think it did happen.
yeah,
This
that
year.
was
What, recently?
this
Yeah.
season. Giannis has scored 64, 54, and 48 this season. There's been some ungodly stats this season. So
Yeah.
the,
Scoring
Who
is
are
not
the,
those
people
against the
want.
Spurs? Did they
All
have
of
to
them.
be playing the Spurs?
Yeah, just it's
everybody against the Spurs, which is funny because Wembanyama is 7'9". You would think he would be clogging up the middle somehow, but he's not.
there's so many other gaps on the other 44 half feet of the half court. It's bad.
All right, we're gonna move on to the potato game here, guys. I'll give you guys the rules, and then I just want you guys to tell me what your thoughts are on each deal that was made, okay? I want you to tell me if it was a fully loaded baked potato or if
Mm.
it's the equivalent to going out to eat to a nice steakhouse and just ordering a plain potato with only chives, no butter, no
Can
sour
I do a
cream.
can I do a quick tidbit and say this is a loaded baked potato? The Florida State Seminoles basketball team won again today.
Oh, I like
Nice one on the
that.
road in Syracuse. That's a key win for you
And
guys.
Yeah.
NIT, here we come, baby.
We are
Walk
en route to the
ourselves
number
in.
6 spot.
I
You've
actually
won
don't know
5 and
about that, guys.
6.
Yeah, because we're number 2 in the ACC. That
For now.
matter?
Imagine how good Lipscomb would be in the ACC because they handled Florida State pretty easily.
And Stetson.
And Stetson, you're talking about a couple of the premier teams in the conference.
Since you mentioned college basketball, before we get to the potato game,
I'm so excited. I started to get hungry. And then just
there
doing potatoes.
just in the same breath of what you're mentioning, Byrne, I pulled back the curtain. I took a little peek into the bubble watch, the Joe Lunardi sacred bubble
Yes.
watch that he updates every night, which is just ridiculous. As it stands right now, there's no Florida teams in the tournament except for FAU.
They're leaking oil as well. Not looking good.
Yeah.
It's early yet. We're just not
Oh,
getting
good.
conference play. Get a conference play.
You
Also
would have
tonight,
thought that
UCF's going to win tonight. Gators got a big game tomorrow night against Mississippi State. It's early yet.
Yeah, but you're saying
how
get
are the
into
Gators
conference
doing in the
play.
SEC?
No.
I
What's
would.
that?
I think there's a sneaky thing happening here. The ACC brand is still holding fake water. I think what we're seeing is everybody says, "Oh, Florida State," they're whining, they're complaining, trying to get out of the ACC. Look at what's happening in basketball. Best teams are in the SEC because they got money for elite coaches, elite programs, everything else that goes into it. It's not just football when we talk about the impact on these sports. Baseball, go look at the top 10 in baseball. It's SEC everywhere. All the other sports are becoming very SEC driven based on the money that they're investing in those programs. That look, ACC schools just don't have to consistently compete. Now, Duke will always compete. That's all they care about. And there's some schools that that's all they care about. But as a whole, the ACC is not one of the elite conferences, probably not in the top 3 conferences out there right now. And that impacts Florida State. That impacts Miami directly. I do get a good chuckle out of Miami because they did try. They really tried. They went out. They bought some players. This is going to be their year. They bought Matthew Cleveland from Florida State. He goes for 2 against Florida State. Good for him. They got a bracket. He's on the board.
One baby.
That's like my stats.
Woo! Yeah. But I think that there's something underlying their impact. to tell you, just no excuse for the Gators. Just a bunch of losers down there in Gainesville that, with all the money in the
Really?
world, still
Oh,
can't win
throwing
anything.
Wow, but John, how do
fiery
you feel about
darts,
that?
Yeah,
What? I mean,
Bringing the heat,
they're 12-6. We got a big game.
personal attack.
Our losses are to Tennessee and Kentucky. Those are not two awful losses at all.
not the other front.
When you look at it, not no one of pretty good teams. I think we lost to a really good. We beat Pitt. They lost
ACC
to.
power.
They bought Baylor. They lost to Baylor. Big 12 is loaded, Elliott. I mean, look at the losses we have. 12-6. We have lost 3 out of 5. That has impressive. We do need a signature win. We lost to Ole Miss. That team is coming on in Ole Miss. They got a 7'5" guy. Wait till you see this mutant. It's incredible. But I'll tell you, so the losses are not bad. But we have to your point, I do agree, Elliott. The Gators need a signature win. They've got to beat a team and that key top 60, top 40 team. Mississippi State they're 13-5. That's an important win for us. That's coming up next. We also have the Mike White revenge game Saturday against Georgia. The Bulldogs are playing pretty good basketball in the conference. So we can get through this week 2-0 and get to 14-6. We're back on track. Florida State with a nice win tonight. And UCF now has wins over Texas, KU, and they won again tonight. So they're at 12-6 as well. They've won 4 out of 6. So I think Florida State, UCF on the way up. We'll see where the Gators finish this week. It's a key week for them.
Yeah, it's just the state of Florida is it's a basketball state as well. It's not just a football state here. So you got to get some of these schools, these top-notch schools into the tourney.
It's
FAU
still
can't
time.
be our representative. That's ridiculous. I like the breaking news burn on that. I didn't know if we won that game. That makes me very happy. So let's get back to the potato game.
Yeah.
Um, So the first deal that came across the desk here was Hader. He signed a 5-year, $95 million full no trade clause. He goes to the Astros. 1.2 ERA, 1.28 ERA, 33 saves in 2023. Elliott, would you give that a fully loaded baked potato, or would you take the plain potato and throw in maybe some butter?
I think it's a plain potato for me. Just the impact of relievers is a little bit less than a lot of the other additions that have occurred this year. But that's not to say he's not an elite player, and he's going to make a difference. And he really extends out their bullpen and makes them really deadly. But if you look at, compared to an everyday guy like, I don't know, a Shohei Ohtani, that maybe somebody on this call might feel a little more excited about to talk about, that's just more of an impact you're going to see. And any kind of starters being added. I'm not going to try to name the other Japanese pitcher. Maybe you can clear up the pronunciation on that one. But yeah, there's just other roles and other positions that just make a bigger impact on baseball. So it's a regular baked potato for me. Still good. Still gets the job done. But I don't know if it's going to move the needle significantly on the expectations of the Astros.
Burn, what kind of potato you giving the Hater move?
Oh, this is loaded. It's loaded with some chopped bacon, some cheddar cheese, a little sour cream, a little dollops. Yeah, I'm good with it all.
Doppel radar. Put it on there.
Doppelgangers?
No, I think it's a big pickup by Houston. Do I love the contract? No, I don't. Yeah, because a 5-year deal is, especially with relievers, pitching in general, those are tough. But I think that's enough firepower on the back end to solidify a bullpen that they need to make another run. I think that this is a big deal for them. I think it's a 33 save last year, under 1.5 ERA. I think that's a big pickup for the Astros. They can be very dependent. They have some really good starting pitching to help on the back end. I think it's a big deal. I think that helps them. It keeps them at the top over there and as a legitimate World Series competition there, and the competitor there. So yeah, I'm in. Give me that loaded.
Bijan?
It's sustenance. I'm aligned with Elliott. I think we look at Hader.
What is this, Bajan?
Highest walk rate of his career last year, 13%. He also had his worst performance. He has dominated lefties. No surprise there. His career average lefties against him is 146. Last year was up to 231. Now, granted, that's just crept over the Mendoza line, but that's a big jump up to 231. That's his career high. Righties actually was better against righties last year, but his lowest K rate against righties last year. So I'm seeing a lot of declining metrics. He had a whip of 1.1. I like to see that more around 0.89, 0.9. So you're leaving less than a guy on every inning. You're only pitching one inning. Keep a guy off. Let's have a clean inning. So for that price and with the declining rate, he's 29. Maybe you get 2 years out of him, but I agree with Byrne. The 5-year deal doesn't excite me. It's sustenance. I still think he saves 27 to 32 this year, but I don't see that happen over the next 5 years.
So 5 years,
Hey,
100 million is better than 700 million.
Otani.
That you don't have to
Or
pay
somebody that's not even
for
pitching this year.
20 years.
Wait till
We just
Otani
like
leads the
that.
league in saves in 3 years. Otani's going to lead the league in saves, then it'll all be super fun.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, let's not talk about Otani. I'm sour grapes on that one.
I bet you
Um,
are.
but I mean, we got one soda, so I'm happy. They're the same thing, right?
Way cheaper.
I will say
Not for
this
long.
about Hader. It really solidifies Houston's bullpen because Ryan Presley moves to a setup
Mhm.
role. I really like when teams do that. I like when they get that when they're able to move their former closer and they basically have two closers on the squad. I think that in the postseason, that can really
Yep.
help you out. And we'll have to see. The no trade clause, I think, is a little bit of an iffy situation there, but I would say it's a fully loaded baked potato, maybe with light salt. Maybe light salt.
Oh, watching the
But
sodium intake up. We want you here for
yeah.
the long run. Yeah.
Antonio Pierce goes to Las Vegas. What do you think about that one?
I'm on a loaded baked potato train right now. Like I love it.
Yeah.
Like I think he earned it. I think he deserved it. I think those players rallied around him. It says a lot when your stud defensive end, you're really like your franchise player, says hire Pierce or I'm going to ask for a trade.
Yep.
I think that shows. I bring it back to what we're experiencing in Detroit. Like people want to play for Dan Campbell. Obviously, it was a laughing stock at the beginning with the kneecaps, but he's shown that he can get players to play for him and believe in the system and believe in what they're trying to accomplish. I think Pierce has done the same. He's played the game. He's a player's coach. The players obviously have rallied around him and love him. I think it's a good hire. I think it's different than what they've dealt with in the past. And I think that's the big thing for me is those experiments have just gone absolutely just sideways. So Antonio Pierce, I think this is a loaded baked potato hire, and I hate the Raiders, but I'm excited about the Raiders. I think
What?
they're in a good spot. I do. I just don't
Uh,
like
That's a
them. I don't know.
strong word.
Look,
Can I just dig a little bit deeper on where this hate come from?
They hate the Lions and they hate the Jags. That's it. That's all I got. No, I don't like the
Or the
fans.
Eagles or the other four teams.
I worked for the Jags for 4 years and got to experience the Raiders fans, and I did not appreciate them. And it was at the time it was at the Coliseum, so it was like a worse stadium, and the fans were just as bad. Little bit of hate there, yeah. But no, I think Pierce is the right hire, good hire, and I wish him the best of luck.
I will say this. I do think that I love that they're in Vegas because that just makes me want. I really want to see a game there. So
Oh, we will.
I,
Yes,
Vegas is playing the Bucks this season, but it's in Tampa. So I was like, dang it. Oh man.
You still go to Vegas for it. I don't
yeah.
see
we
how
still
that
watch
stops
it in
us from going to Vegas.
We have to gamble in
mean,
Vegas.
Yeah.
Elliot, I'm gonna give you Gerard Mayo to New England.
Gerard Mayo. I'm gonna go loaded baked potato. I think it fits the culture of what they want to be. It keeps the consistency of high level performance, but I think it adds a little bit more juice. You're there for 20 years, you're anywhere for 20 years, the message becomes a little stale. And I don't know if we were getting everything we could out of that team or that team fought as much for Bill that they normally do. And I think it was time for a new voice, but a consistent voice, because that's been a winning formula they have there. And I think they can keep that consistency going. See as a blip here, got to figure out quarterback, obviously. So it's a tough place to walk into when you don't have a quarterback, but you really like that hire as a guy. Tennessee, Gerard Mayo, if I
That's
remember
correct.
that
That is
back
correct.
correctly. But no, just a guy who came up through that culture. He's gonna bleed everything Patriots, and they're gonna believe him. And I think it's a great hire. Full baked potato. I'm going full salt, heavy salt.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Season
Own it.
salt.
Really,
Season salt.
really seasoned
Sea
salt.
salt.
Yeah,
kosher, the kosher stuff.
Oh, only
the good
only
stuff.
push. Yeah.
There was a trade today in the NBA. Rozier goes to Miami for Lowry and a first round pick. What kind of potato we working with on that?
I like that for Miami. and for Charlotte, to be honest with you. I think it's a good trade. Rozier can score. I like he looks for his own shot. I think LaMelo has been good for him, but Rozier could produce that on his own. Lowry, I, I don't love that for the Hornets. Obviously, I think they wanted the pick. He's not going to give you a lot, but it's good for the Hornets.
No.
They're not going anywhere unless they give up 60. Maybe that's the key. Just like one guy gets 60, and then we'll take our chances with the rest and maybe win by 2. I don't know that Lowry helps with that or hurts with that equation or with their god-awful team. But, yeah, I think it's good to get a first-round draft pick. I think Rozier will be really good in Miami. Miami's been coming on even with some injuries. That team just Spoelstra
Yeah.
gets the most out of them. Some late, really competitive team. I don't like to see it as a Magic fan because I think Rozier is a good addition. That war on I-4 just gets tougher. However, the Magic did vanquish them on Sunday with a
Yeah.
nice win.
Yeah, there was
I don't think Kyle Lowry plays more than a month with the Hornets.
Yeah, I don't
he,
think
is-
so.
he is on his way out. He may not play a game with the
I
Hornets.
think
It
that's
might
a,
be
I
a
think that's a buyout. A
trade
buyout.
or a buyout.
Yeah.
They get the pick and everybody moves on.
Agreed.
that's got to be what's going to
Expired deal, right? It's
Yeah.
on an
Yeah,
expired
expiring
deal. So
You
contract.
buy him
yeah.
out and he ends up on a
cap
playoff team
space,
somewhere.
cap space. in the
Expired
system.
potato for a future potato is what we're looking
Yeah.
for.
He might be a
That's
couch
really
potato
good.
next year.
It's a good trade for Miami. He's averaging 23 a game, 6
He can
assists
score.
this season.
He
So,
can
It's
score.
a
Don't ask him to play
career
defense.
year.
He can score. Oh,
Yeah, but they
Um,
They'll figure out a way for him to play defense. They don't mess around with that down there.
yeah.
He's got some
That
kind of
culture may
culture.
help him. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not kidding, Elliot. I agree.
So Elliot is our college football insider as well. And how did McCormick get a 9th year of eligibility from Miami? Can you explain the process to the world?
You mean explain how he got 9 years in college? Boy, good for him. First,
Yeah.
that's awesome. This was never an option for me. Nobody brought this up. Nobody had this conversation with me that 9 years was possible, or else maybe I would have taken them up on that. And
Definitely
something
would have.
no, I mean, hey man, good for him. I obviously wish the worst for him as a Kane, but as a human being, boy, really living it up. And in South Beach, I'll give it to Miami. If you're a college football player, that's a
Oh,
pretty good
yeah.
place to be a college football
as a
player.
26-year-old in
Um,
Miami.
26-year-old, probably a little NIL cash in your pocket to keep you afloat and enjoying it. So
But yeah, I mean, you
good
got
for him. Happy
Yeah,
for
oh, yeah.
him. I think that they should be giving out eligibilities. Like, and you forget the NCAA. You should be
It's
able
like
to just
Oprah.
play whenever you feel like. And what are they going to
Give us a
do?
year.
You get a year, why not? But Daryl Jackson will not play. And we are going to make sure that transfer. He's not.
Yeah, because he's Florida
Um,
State.
but no, yeah, good. Give out years, let guys play. The COVID year's crazy, and I can never keep track of how long people have been in college. But good for him. Good for the kid. Happy for him.
He
Yeah.
had the red shirt.
Good for the
2
grown
years.
man. No, good
2
for the
complete years. I
25-year-old man.
don't think he played. I don't think he played for 2 years. Red shirt, COVID, and then a medical red shirt. So it's crazy that you get 9 years. Carry the 2. It's you can
Beautiful
still
mind.
play. We
Yeah.
good.
And Tua's brother played like 3 snaps too many for Alabama, and he didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's
so-
the flawed
weird one.
process.
So I'm wondering, since we're talking about the Miami football here, let's get to a 2024 pick. Miami starts off the season against the Gators. What are we looking at that?
We're two
Gators by
Hot
11.
seat-
Going.
Hot seat bowl right off the bat there. Wow.
Crystal ball fired after week 1. It's going to be with the same of more we've seen. I have no confidence in Miami.
Cam Ward. They got Cam Ward now.
Okay.
What
Get-
can we do the spread? What do we
Bijan,
think
get
for
on the
3?
outside and tell me if you have confidence in Billy Napier and Florida. Currently on a how many game losing streak? Are they're going to be rolling off of? 5?
I do. Look at what we developed. Now's the time to get off. Now's the time. Buy low.
Get
on
I
that
don't
train.
know, Elliot. You don't buy stocks at the height, Elliot. Not a good program. Buy them now. I'm
Buy
saying.
low, sell high.
We'll see. We'll see. I really like the hire of Napier. When he was hired, I was worried because that is a Saban tree guy with head coaching experience where he was successful in Louisiana. I expected more and was really surprised that we did end the year a little bit better. And there was some tough teams in there, but
Yeah.
got to find a way to win some of those games. But if they lose that Miami game, it could get off the rails real fast. It might be a wrap
Other team.
midway through the year.
Yeah.
And if Miami loses, You think all those guys who got paid all that money to show up are going to be fighting the good fight through the year to go 7-5?
Not in Miami.
No, definitely not in Miami. So
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting year for both Florida and Miami next year, depending on where the season goes. Florida, toughest schedule, right, John?
Yes,
or at least
that is
ends up
correct.
right now on paper.
Well,
That's I
Yeah,
mean, it's a gauntlet. So,
it is.
but if Florida goes, let's just say 5-7 again, or Miami or Clemson does the same, I think both coaches are gonna enter that season, especially after the first few games, on the hot seat, like coals, like charcoal. It's going. So be
Yeah.
interesting. But
So
I
I
actually
think
think
it's
I
an
would pick
interesting
Miami.
first
I think
game.
I'd pick Florida that first game.
Yeah, I like it, Burn. Burn, we are aligned.
where is that game?
I just don't trust Miami. I don't trust Miami and the
Um,
coaching staff. I don't trust them. Play
is
call
it
at
neutral
home.
site? Is that a
I'm gonna give it
neutral
a
site
shot.
or?
We'd love to do a nature. I'm not sure.
But
I will say I
might
tend to
change.
agree. I think Florida's going to win that game also. And now the consensus now makes me feel very uncomfortable about that. But you can't trust Mario in big games when it's on the
No.
line. He is
Or
going
his
to
staff. Oh, awful.
and sneaky. Grillhart's not a bad quarterback. Not bad, real solid. And I think that's what's going to beat Cam Ward is just guys that are solid. He's going to make some flashy plays. You remember that the year with Anthony Richardson? I guess it was at Florida. You're like, man, you watch his highlights and oh my gosh,
yeah.
this guy must have scored 40 tonight. And you're like, and the game lose 24-17. And you're like, what is it like that? He just had 3 of the biggest highlights I've ever seen. But the rest of it just isn't
That's a
there
great
and isn't
comp.
consistent.
Yeah.
So
13 for 20 on his accuracy. It'll be something like that.
The,
it's beautiful
the
13.
game, the game's in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
Ooh,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It'll be going too.
oh,
It'll be rocking.
Yeah, they're. But I was just looking at Miami's schedule, and it is cupcake, man. So it can go one of two ways. If they do walk out of there with a win, Miami is probably going to start out 7-0. They're playing like FAMU and like just all kinds of like crappy teams the first half of the season. So I think signing Cam Ward gives them a chance to
It
win that
is.
game. Yeah, it's not like Florida's a world beater here. We're about to get to our pick'ems here in a second, but just to give you guys a little bit of an update on the Magic, they are trending a little bit behind schedule right now with Miami Heat. Miami Heat has the division right now, but the Magic would be in the playoffs. Problem is they're 6-13 in their last 19 games. Very well defensively. We're third ranked defense in the entire NBA, but they have got to get some scoring at the deadline. They have got to get some scoring.
Go
Some
get
names
Luke Kennard. Go get Luke Kennard.
there
Please.
some names here, guys. Anthony Simons. Is it Simmons or Simons?
It's pronounced Simons. He's actually from Altamont Springs. Went to school at
Ooh.
IMG Academy, so it's a local.
Nice.
I like Simons a lot. I watch a lot of late West Coast basketball. Portland. The thing about Simons, great shooter, but he's a volume scorer. We need someone that can just get 8 to 9 shots a game and hit 7 of them. That's what we need.
Bogdanovich.
Go get Luke Kennard. I'm telling you,
Both Bogdanoviches.
Yeah,
Please.
I'll take either one.
Yeah, Kennard in his last 10 games, 44% from the 3-point line, 11 points, 4 assists, 3 boards. Plug that in. Give him 23, 24 minutes a game. Give the Magi 14 to 15 points, make 3 to 4 3-pointers, and expand the defense. That's all they need.
Yeah, this is something to
Mikal Bridges, DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine, Kuminga. Any of those names?
Kuminga I like, but he's still young and we have to develop him. So we already have that. Like we have
We got a lot of
every player on our damn roster.
DeJounte
DeJounte Murray would be cool.
Yeah.
We would be better with DeJounte Murray.
That is
It just depends what it costs.
I think
yes,
it takes away from
if he's
our studs.
or does it add
Really?
to? I mean, I think you can't. At some point, you got to start adding some high level players, and you have the opportunity to. I think
Yeah.
you got to take advantage of
A
that.
third star would be nice.
opportunity. I think they're in a great spot, and I don't think you're begging for a rental right here. But if there's somebody you can get to plug in and add to that core with Franz and Paulo, anybody outside of Franz and Paulo, hey, if you can
Yes.
go get a third star, do it
Trade.
and make it happen. But
And
you
then,
still have to like
Carter.
that roster. I like where they're at. We'll see if they're going to cash the chips in at some point.
We've got a
Yeah.
lot of assets and a lot of first round picks. We have the ability to do. it'll be interesting to see if the front office is willing to pull the trigger on that. Seems like they've been very like they slow play everything. I feel like we're getting close to where we have to. You have
Yeah.
to.
They're like, "Just wait, we're
Yeah,
getting
but
there." I'm like,
we got
"Okay, bro, we're
contracts.
there. Let's
We're
go."
gonna have
Like,
to
we
pay some big contracts here soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Franz is close, right? I think he's
Yeah.
eligible maybe this offseason or next. You gotta pull the trigger.
You gotta
Get
do it
you
while
know, we get
Banchero's in his rookie contract.
Yes.
100%.
So if you need to go get Bogdanovich.
Brogdon.
Okay, so there's some absolutely monster games this weekend, just monster. The best part about where we've landed in the world of the NFL is that no matter who wins this weekend, we're gonna have a good Super Bowl matchup. There's not really a weak link in the group unless you want to count Detroit as a
Hey,
weak link.
Okay.
Felt a shot coming.
I I'm trying to leave the studio right now.
Tom.
That
I
hurts, doesn't
I
it?
I'm not saying that I
Haters gonna hate.
No,
Who
I
doesn't
don't
want to
I'm not
watch that offense? Who doesn't want to watch an offense that rates top 5 and 6 key categories? Who doesn't
Don't
want
you
to
wanna be
watch
able to
that?
say don't you wanna be able to say that you lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions?
I'm not saying this is my opinion, sir. I'm just saying that if you look at the odds in Vegas, do you know what Detroit's odds are to win the Super Bowl?
Oh god.
I got them 23-1. I don't know what they are now.
Yeah, it's the best
10-1.
odd. They think that San Francisco is gonna win. That San Francisco is the favorite. Then it's Baltimore, then it's Kansas City, but the Kitties are plus 750 right
Go get
now.
it now, Hob, while you can.
Yeah.
If you
Recoup
wanna
some of those
sprinkle some
losses from
juice.
last weekend.
So let's get straight to the pick'ems here. We'll save the Detroit game for later. We'll
Mhm.
start out with Kansas City, Baltimore. Baltimore's minus 3.5 from what I could see. We'll let our guest speaker go first. Kansas City travels to Baltimore. What do you think, Elliot?
Feel so privileged. Boy, what a treat that game is with just some elite quarterback play who do it in a really fun way. Exciting video game. They're running around and they're firing balls all over the place and they're running. It's exciting football. Down to brass tacks though. I don't think the league is going to let Taylor Swift not make it to the Super Bowl. So I have got a hunch that they are behind Kansas City, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple things maybe go their way through the process. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think that there's weapons on both sides, and with those quarterbacks, I just can't see a way that somebody gets blown out here. And it's close. I'm taking Taylor Swift to take us over the finish line here. And yeah, I got about 34-31. So we're going to see some points, and it's going to be exciting.
Not good with math, but I feel
Did
like
hear a little tidbit today. Teddy Pendergrass, T-Pain, is going to be playing at the Ravens game at halftime. You're
Right.
making the trip a little something to get you excited. Tallahassee hero in the building.
Yeah, Bern, can you give us a T-Pain impersonation?
I don't have my auto tune set up, so I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I can't do that. Look, I'll tell you this: the perfect Super Bowl matchup would be Taylor Swift versus Eminem. But unfortunately, only one of
I hate
those
it.
are going to show up at that Super Bowl, and it's not T Swift. I cannot align with you, Elliot, on this one. I apologize. I think what Baltimore's done this year has been special. I think that
Oof.
team is humming. I think if you look at the two quarterbacks, look, I love Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to count him out. I mean, he continues to shoot, especially with what he has to currently throw to other than Kelsey. But Lamar has talent. They have the running game going. Their defense is elite. Top three, maybe number one. I'm not even sure. Bajan, our stat boy, will probably
It's
correct
coming.
me. Yeah, he'll correct and all as well. But I'm really hoping that Mark Andrews comes back. But it doesn't matter because Lively has been lively in the playoffs. I think he's on the cusp of becoming an elite tight end. So Lamar has that scapegoat right there, just a little dump and go.
Isn't
Dalvin
it
Cook
likely?
is another Lively.
But it's
Oh,
likely.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Lively.
But he's still being lively. I like the punt.
Likely has been very likable lately. I think that Lamar is having that MVP season. I think he's going to do crazy things on the road. Mahomes, he did win his first road playoff game, which was big, but he ain't gonna win two. Give me the Ravens. Give me this and lay the points. I'm good to go. Ravens, big.
Burn, we are aligned. So Baltimore, the great city of Balmer, the Charm City, hosting their first AFC championship since 1970. With a great Johnny Unitas in those black high tops, led him to a 27-17 victory over Burns' hated Raiders in a classic matchup. So this city has been starving 53 years since they last hosted an AFC championship team. This Baltimore defense is feasting. First in the NFL in sacks, first in the NFL in turnovers. Kansas City, 24th in turnovers. Not great. They do not protect the football, nor do they catch the football outside of Kelsey. Second in red zone efficiency, this Baltimore defense. Kansas City, Butker's not going to get it done. They're 16th in red zone efficiency. The numbers line up here to undergame a dominant Baltimore rushing performance. 3.5 is a steal. This number could close, I think, at 4 or 4.5. So get it now. I've got Balmer 27, Kansas City 13. Ravens move on.
Yeah. I think that Elliot brought up a good point. If you're into conspiracy theories, right? I there is so this whole thing with Taylor Swift and the Kelseys is just almost nauseating. And then you throw in Jason Kelsey, and then it just like how many times did you guys see the clip of him with his shirt off?
I need more
Oh.
Jason Kelsey. I'm never upset at that.
It was enough.
I'm just saying it's just everywhere I turn, it's just they're showing Jason Kelsey. I'm like, and Taylor Swift dancing. I'm like, my God, is that the main thing here in the NFL? This is how I don't that's tough. I didn't think about that until Elliot brought it up. I think that Baltimore should own this game. Kansas City, and that's another thing. We were wrong last week. We thought Buffalo was gonna take care of Kansas City, and they did not. I don't know,
Diggs
man.
and Bass.
It's just one of those situations that you got. Who do you guys think is a better quarterback?
This year, Lamar Jackson. Career-wise, Patrick Mahomes, and it's not close.
What Bajan said.
Mahomes?
Yeah.
For the
It's
career.
interesting because it's not apples to apples because their weapons are very different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you just didn't have if Kadarius Toney just didn't exist. I think those interception numbers would be lower. He's got a career as a volleyball player at some point, the way he launches passes in the air and refuses to catch them. The weapons they have now, Rishi Rice has come on later in the year. That's a nice piece. Pacheco has been pretty good.
Yeah,
Boy,
Pacheco's pretty good.
nobody gets lit up more than Pacheco does. Holy cow.
He
And
looks
that
for
Ravens
it. He goes
defense
looking
is
for it.
at 170 pounds or whatever he is. I don't know how he does it, but good on him. This Ravens defense is going to do something probably unholy to him at some point during that game. But he got that team there, that team with nobody on it.
That defense has been much improved. Give the defense a lot of credit in Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
Big piece of
Defense
it.
is
top three.
good. Defense is good, but he got that team there. Lamar's got, I think, a lot more weapons on the outside. I don't think it's apples to apples.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time having seen what Mahomes has done in his career when the lights are on and what this round in the playoffs,
Yes.
people have shut Lamar down. They figured it out. The great defenses have shut Lamar down consistently in the playoffs. Nobody's ever been able to, or not nobody other than Tampa. Sorry. Yeah, Tampa, go Bucks. Have been able to do it to Pat Mahomes. I just can't see it happening. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just 2 years ago, Pat Mahomes still sitting in my head. But you just got to feel like there's still a little juice there and Andy Reid's going to have something for him.
I
Mahomes
think
been there,
it
4 years? AFC Championship?
yeah.
3, 4? Lamar hasn't been there yet, but the streak's going to end. It has to.
I think that Baltimore
I think
defense is
Lamar's-
very similar to that
Yeah.
similar to that Bucks defense that you saw give Mahomes so many problems. I think that's what you're going to see a lot of on Saturday afternoon. But Hav, what do you think?
I think that I have talked myself into taking Kansas City on this one. I think that
It's a smart man. It's a smart man.
I just think that you it's not smart to count out somebody like Mahomes when his mission is to be the GOAT, right? Like he's close to getting into the GOAT conversation, but obviously he has to take advantage of the opportunities when he has them. And right now, he's just one win away from making it back to the big stage. I think I'm just gonna take Mahomes and ride with him, man. It doesn't make any sense. And then a little bit of it is the NFL conspiracy theory with Taylor Swift. Okay, so let's move on to the second game here.
Who's playing?
This
Who's
should be
playing? Do we know?
San Francisco, Tampa Bay, but I guess Detroit snuck in there.
Hot.
Oh,
Do
that
we
So
mustache is gonna look lovely on you. Love.
I want obviously Bajan and Byrne, we understand that you guys have Detroit winning this game. Give us some reasons why. I'll start with you, Bajan.
+7 is a wonderful bet. This number moving from 6.5 to 7 is a key number in the NFL. +7 this all day. Look at what the Packers were able to do. Now they're not mature enough to finish that ball game, but they averaged almost 5 per carry on the ground. That's the way to attack the San Francisco team is up the middle. Don't try to go side to side, but run it like they did with some creative runs with Aaron Jones. We have, if you saw Jameer Gibbs, number 26, looking shades just for a moment, could see glimmers of number 20 on that really long touchdown run. We also have Monty banging through there. I like them. Play action will then become open. So these two teams are going to be a lot of points. Both these teams are top 5 in 6 key offensive categories. What I think the difference is just I think that the Lions are going to be able to stuff CMC. Not completely. You're never going to take them completely out of the game. This is the second best rush defense in the league, and they're going to be able to pressure Brock Purdy. I think we saw what happened when Green Bay did that. I think the Lions are a little bit better version of that, not in the back of the secondary, but up front to pressure Purdy. I think that's the difference here. 7 points is a steal. I'm taking +7 Lions all day. Lions, last time they were here, they got blown out by Mark Rippon and Art Monk, 41-10. Who that was a super team. This Niners team is not a super team. They're a good team. They're not a legendary team. Lions +7 is a steal. Give me that all day.
Yeah, but who on the money line?
I don't know. I would say if I'm gonna bet the most on +7, I'm gonna sprinkle some on the kiddies money line as well.
Sprinkle that cheddar.
Sprinkle another baked potato.
Loaded baked potato.
Coney dog. Give me the Coney dog.
Okay, well,
Detroit style.
okay. What's your confidence level on you guys actually pulling off the upset here?
I am 4 out of 5 Burns +7. We didn't come this long to get blown out. I'm 2 out of 5 money line. It's honest.
Burn?
Yeah. No, I think I'm very similar to Bajan there. Yeah, exactly what he said. Our strength right now, we've always say we're going to stay committed to the run. And we've got a two-headed monster back there with Monty and Gibbs. The Sanford has always had a stud defense, and their one weakness right now is their rush defense. You saw what the Packers did. If we can mimic that, I think that that's going to free up what we have on our outside receivers. We've got weapons, and we've shown that all season. So, St. Brown, Laporta, Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, I think he's going to have at least
Shout out
2 or 3
Jameson,
big-
please.
Oh, yeah. Jamo's going to have at least 2 or 3 big catches. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a tutty. In this,
Anytime touchdown, better
special
than.
day. Excuse me. But our offensive line is one of the top in the NFL. So I think that we can handle the pressure if we can just start and get a run game going. I think that's going to free up Goff. Keep him protected. Let him have some time to make some throws. Like Bajan said, number 2 rush defense. We can control C-Mac. I get that we're not going to shut him down. Chances are that's not going to happen. But I think that out of all the quarterbacks we've played so far, I feel like we can get to Purdy. I think we can rattle him. And he's shown that he has not been an elite quarterback in the playoffs or in the last probably 4 or 5 games. So there's a chance. Like, we can go out there. We're not showing up to San Fran to lose. Like, we know that we belong there. We know that we can win. And Dan Kim was going to have that team fired up. And, man, to me, it's one of those things like, it's just destiny. Like, it's just going to happen. Man, the Kitties are going to the ship. Yeah, money line and
Okay.
spread. Give me those 7. I'll take that, eat it up, and send it to the bank real quick. I would say 4 out of 5 Burns for a spread and 3 out of 5 money line. We're good. It's all good, man. See y'all next week.
Mr. Davenport?
I want to know: are you guys taking the red shirt to the Super Bowl? If the Lions go,
Burn is
I
somehow
will-
going to make his way there, and hopefully I can.
I'm going to do everything I can.
Because
to
Burn
get to
appears
that.
at every major event. You can't have a
You-
major event without Burn.
No,
He's like Taylor Swift,
I'm
but
gonna,
not as obnoxious.
I will- I will do what I can to get there. 100%.
It's going to be a pricey ticket if Detroit
Yeah.
makes. There's going to be a lot of people on that same boat. Maybe a bunch of them blew their money on Michigan championship tickets. Heck of a year for the Motor City there. But I want to come out in here and tell you guys that you're wrong and silly and don't know what you're talking about. But everything I see and everything I watch, I think I love this Lions team. This Lions team, they embody their coach. They are tough. They are solid, just solid. They don't make a ton of mistakes. I think Jared Goff, I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is and where he places balls and some of the throws he makes. In that Tampa game, he threw some dimes that were not wide open. We challenged their receivers and made some really good throws. And that he got tipped the cap at some point and say, you know what, I think he's the better quarterback in this game. If we switch quarterbacks, I wonder what the line is if we switch quarterbacks here, because it may be 14 to 17 or something like that. Because if you have to rely on Brock Purdy, I just don't think that's a winning strategy. I think they're going to put pressure. I think that they're going to do what they can to corral McCaffrey. Brock Purdy with the game on the line, I just don't see it. And we talk about the offenses, and both offenses have been good all year. I think this ends up being a little bit more low scoring. The under, I think number 51 is the number that I see. I like this thing a little bit under and a little bit ugly. And if I'm Detroit, that's the way I like it. Let's muck this thing up. Let's get ugly. And let's see who the tougher team is, because I think it's the one coming out of Detroit. And when it's on the line, I think they're going to make the plays. They've got enough electric playmakers with Jameson Williams can change the scoreboard. Obviously, Sun God changed the scoreboard. Jameer Gibbs, holy cow. What he did to Mr. Winfield was in kind. That's one of the lead safeties in football. It doesn't get better than him. And he ran by him like he wasn't there. So I like Detroit here straight up to go out there and win a 21-17 type of game. Ugly. You're looking at it. Yeah, man, it's late second quarter. It's 7-6. And we got ourselves a football game. We're, dare I say, scratching and biting at shins. Maybe scratching and biting at some knees. And we're going to see Detroit go to the Super Bowl and get Eminem and Taylor Swift. Spoilers. I think both are part of the halftime show.
Elliott,
Maybe already booked. Maybe already booked. Maybe already have that plan.
I like it.
Just a
I
thought.
love this. I love this. And then there's off.
Conspiracy theory there.
The NFL, it's full of them. It's
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. So San Francisco, they're a well-oiled machine, right? Like the only weakness, their biggest weakness, in my opinion, is Purdy. I think that overall they have, and the big thing is, do we know if Debo's playing or what?
Debo is
50,
banged up. Won't be 100% if he
50-50.
plays. That's a big piece for them.
Yeah.
50-50, that's what they said.
So I think that he's such a Swiss Army knife when you have Debo back there, because he's a matchup nightmare. There, you can't even scheme for him because you don't know where the heck he's going to be lining up. You don't know what he's going to be running. I think that the fact that Debo is banged up is going to be a huge factor in this game. I like that Detroit can pressure the quarterback because I don't trust Purdy. I just do not. And I think that Detroit has a very solid rush defense. I think that they can definitely slow down McCaffrey, to Bajan's point. Can San Francisco pressure Goff? I thought Tampa was going to be able to pressure Goff, and we could not at all. Maybe they can't.
Tampa
So
played a little scared, though. I was surprised that they played so timid with the blitz.
Yeah.
Which is,
I
we don't
think
need to
that
rehash the Bucs. We're moving on to Super Bowl champ Lions here. We're focused there.
I think that Baltimore gave the blueprint on how to beat San Francisco, because when they played earlier in the season, Baltimore dominated that matchup. San Francisco looked like a big piece of trash that game. And that is more than likely what Detroit is just dissecting at the moment as we speak here.
I love what you said that. Balanced attack from Baltimore, 250 yards in the air, over 100 on the ground. And you look at what the Lions can do from a balanced attack. I love that point you just made.
You guys are super balanced. You guys are 53-40-17 team. If you can keep Goff clean, I think Detroit's going to win this game. So I don't know why you guys were a little bit so nervous going into this pick. I actually feel pretty confident. How many times has Detroit had a chance to make it to the Super Bowl?
This will be our first.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Number one.
Thank you for hashing that.
Exactly. Talk about just like the amount of just extra that they're going
Yeah.
to be giving on that field. So I think Detroit's going to pull off the huge upset on
That's
that is a clean sweep, and that is a clean sweep with 4 guests, and
ooh,
you know what
take
you can
yeah.
do with that.
Write the checks,
You
take
can
it to the
take it
bank.
to the bank, baby.
I will say,
Connect
I think I
four.
So
saw I saw a stat that between Purdy and Goff that if they don't throw an interception, like their teams are pretty much either 10-1 or 11-0.
Wow.
So
Be looking for
I
that.
think this could be that battle of turnovers, and I feel a lot better about Goff being mistake free than Purdy.
yeah, you're gonna need Hutch to get back there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chauncey's
we're
a
gonna need
ball
pressure.
hawk.
Gotta get
Yeah,
pressure.
Chauncey is a ball hawk. Good to have him
Yep.
back. Big pick early in that game against the
Yep.
Bucks.
was
You're
a
looking
Mike
at
Evans special there.
Yes, it was.
It
The,
was.
the Kadarius Tony, if you've ever seen it,
Derek
launched his
Barnes
pass
gets
in
his
the air.
second interception of his career.
Yes.
yeah. And there's that's another conspiracy, by the way, is the logo,
The
the
logo
Super Bowl
colors.
logo, the colors. So everybody says it's supposed to be San Fran, Baltimore for that. So which conspiracy is going to reign supreme here? Eminem and Taylor Swift or the logo colors? That's what we really need to be
Ooh,
evaluating here
yeah.
this
We'll
weekend.
find out. We will find out.
I know not to call Bijan at halftime. Elliot, when we called Bijan at halftime, he couldn't sit still. He was pacing around his whole
Pacing.
entire house. Well, the game was knotted up, tied up. Bijan didn't know what to do with
Uh,
himself.
I get my steps in. Yeah, I get my steps in during the game. Heart health. All those baked
So
potatoes. Salt.
yeah. So
I couldn't tell.
hope hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And we'll talk to you guys next week. See you
All
later.
Awesome.
right.
Thanks for having
Elliot,
me,
great
guys.
to have you. Thanks, Elliot.
Appreciate you.